Last show, we wanted to talk a bit about Carol Vadnais,
Yeah.
who passed away suddenly, and Bill was telling off air his funeral is tomorrow. We didn't really get a chance to talk much about him. You were teammates, and you were involved in the trade with him. And I know it might be hard to talk about, but what are some of your memories? What do you think of when you hear the name Carol Vadnais?
It's easy to talk about Vad, real easy. I mean, he was a friend and a colleague and what have you, and a teammate. But the thing, I used to bug him a lot, you know. We'd go out to dinner or something, and I remember going out to dinner with, a lot of times with he, and sometimes with Gilles Gilbert, or Rod Gilbert, and they'd speak French. I don't speak French. and I'm sitting there and I'm going, you dudes, boys, come on. I don't know what the hell you're talking. Oh, sorry. And they'd go off in English for a while, and so I could get into the conversation, and then bingo, back into the French again. And then I used to say to him, I said, you know, Vad, I don't understand something. Your mother's name was Henry. He said, Henrietta. Yeah, Henry. I said, Henry. I said, your daughter's name was Michael. Michelle. Your wife's name was Raymond. Raymond. And your name is Carol. What the hell is going on with your family? And he'd laugh, and we'd laugh about it, and all this other stuff. I had fun with Vad. He and I were both, cigar smokers, and he was always with a cigar. I wasn't quite that bad, but and he was a hell of a player. You know, he was really a good player and tough.
Yeah, he could handle himself.
Yes, he could.
Yeah.
When he lost his temper, he was really something. And I remember when he came to the Bruins, it was almost like he said, oh, I died and went to heaven. I'm playing with you guys, and Bobby Orr, and on the power play, he played the power play because Freddie Stanfield got traded. And then Vad played the power play all the time with Bob. You know, Bob would be on the right, Vad on the left, and the power play would Cash and I, or Busick and I and McKenzie, or then Cash and Hodge would come on with the second unit. And I got to tell you, man, I really enjoyed it. And when we got traded, we both got traded the same day. I said, I'm going to go, Vad, and I'm going to look at that picture. He's got the cigar in his hand.
Looks like he's at the racetrack, too. Was he a racetrack guy?
Oh, yeah, big time racetrack.
Must have been him and Serge Savard were like both. Is that a cigar thing like in Quebec where you have that big, gigantic cigar?
I guess so, but Serge and Vad were real close friends.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're very close.
Yeah, Vad, when we got traded, he told me, he says, I have a no trade. I says, well, what can I tell you, Vad? I don't, and I'm going. I'm going to go. He says, well, I'm not going. And Don Cherry came in, and he says, Phil, Vad's not going because he's got a no trade. You don't go. And that was such a freaking lie. He was such a bullshitter.
It's kind of funny because I'm going to say all the accent, no pun intended, was on you. But here's some other guys in the trade where they were just, oh, by the way, and Carol Vadnais was part of the trade as well. Like, did anybody even care that they were part of the trade, the guys that went with you?
Well, it was just Vad. Vad and I went for Parkey and Rattel and...
Was it Middleton? Was Middleton part of that?
No. It was a defenseman, Phil, right-hand shot.
Joe Zanussi.
Yeah, that's Joe Zanussi. That was who it was.
There you go.
Zanussi. That's who it was. And I ended up, my second game, Vad didn't even join the team until we got back to New York. I flew down to Oakland, played that night, and in fact, we lost 7-4 to the Seals. And I remember Gary Sabourin scored 4 goals, and J.D. was the goalie. And I was like, what the hell have I got myself into here? You know, and nobody seemed to care. And I remember the guys in the shower saying, they were singing and enjoying themselves. If you ever did that in Boston, that was not, you lose the game. It wasn't jovial, that's for sure. Especially, you know, when you lose it against a team that you knew that you should beat. And then Vad joined us, and of course the second game I was with the Rangers, I got that famous, the famous ankle sprain up high, and holy crap, that was painful. Look at those pictures with the seals.
They are classic, aren't they, those uniforms and the white skates?
Is that Joe Meloche, the goalie?
Yeah, that's Gilly Meloche.
Yeah. Man, those were good
Really?
times. Those were good. Yeah, the NHL was really cool at one point because you knew all the players and you had funny teams, funny uniforms.
I know. Vad, when he got to Boston, he had the white skates. And I think he played one game with the white and they got it off pretty quickly.
It's funny, I was just reading a story about Carol Vadnais, and the words consummate pro were used to describe him. Just a pro, just a class guy off the ice, but a pro on the ice.
Oh, yeah, Vad was a good player. I mean, a real good player. He was, don't forget, Vadnais was in the air of Bobby Orr, Brad Park,
Yeah.
Serge Savard, Guy Lapointe, Larry Robinson. I mean, those guys are all Hall of Famers and superstars, and Vadnais was sort of down, but yet he made, 5, 6 All-Star games, I think? I think he played in 5 or 6 All-Star teams.
Won 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah, won 2 Stanley Cups, and hey, listen, he was a great guy and a good player, and I talked to his daughter 2 days before he passed, and she said that he was really struggling, of course, and just sitting there and a hospice thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got. Apparently, I'd heard, and in fact, I think Walter told me, Lucien Deblois, who's a very close friend of. You played with Lucien, did you not, Phil?
I did. I played with him in Boston, or New York. I mean.
New York, yeah, he's a good friend of Vad's, and Vad had been treated for his cancer, and then he developed a bladder infection, and that was at the end. That's where the doctors couldn't do any more for him, and they sent him to the hospice to die peacefully. But I listened to Phil and Vad's participation in Charlie O'Finley's team, and one of the great stories, and Phil knows all the participants. When Charlie O took over the team, he decided that his team would fly first class, which was a nice idea, except if you were flying from Oakland to Boston. And that was a fairly long ride. And so the boys would be sitting up front about 3 sheets to the wind when they arrived. And Freddie Glover, who was their coach, is standing at the front. And he says, "Okay, boys," he said, "checking curfew tonight's going to cost you $100 if you're not in." And the guys are walking by him, and Reggie Leach digs into his pocket. He says, "Here, Freddie, here's $100. Save yourself some time."
Oh, there's no doubt about it. One time we were flying from Vancouver to St. Louis, and I don't even know. I think Tommy Johnson was coaching us then with the Bruins, and a bunch of us decided to go first class, pay the difference, and go up to first class. And we go up there, and Vad was up there, and he goes into the bathroom. I don't know how the hell he ended up with the captain's hat, and Vad had false teeth. Okay, and he takes out his teeth, and he puts the hat on sideways, the cigar, and he walks back in the curtain to the economy. He pulls back the curtain and he says, "Guys, come on up. The pool is wonderful." I mean, we were pretty drunk too, I gotta tell you. In fact, really, that was the same trip that Mike Walton went through the window at the hotel. You remember that story?
Very well.
Yeah, he almost died. If he wasn't drunk, he probably would have died.
That's right. He hadn't diluted his blood somewhat. He might have.
Yeah, and Kenny Hodge. Kenny Hodge was the one. He put towels for tourniquets on him, and we pulled the glass out of his neck, and because we were throwing water. We had adjoining rooms on the balcony, and we kept throwing water at each other, and he tripped over a screen or something.
Oh, yeah.
Through the plate glass window.
Oh, my goodness.
I heard how that happened. I'd heard he was frightened, but he wasn't frightened. You were just horsing around.
Wow.
We were just horsing around, and it wasn't a pretty sight.
No.
But Mike pulled through, which was great.
Sure did, yeah. Just Vadnais played 1,087 NHL games, 169 goals, 418 assists, 2 Stanley Cups, 6 All-Star teams.
There it is.
Yeah, 6. You're right, Phil. I think you said 6. Member of Team Canada at the '76 Canada Cup. and at the 77 World Hockey Championships. And also coached a year. Was an assistant with the Rangers for a couple of seasons, and then coached a season in the Quebec Major Junior League. So he had a very distinguished hockey career.